Hello, my dear students. Myself, Krutika Patel from Samarpan Gyan School, Rata. Today, we are going to continue with our topic of Class 8 Social Science History. We were doing with chapter number 3, Ruling the Countryside. Here, in this chapter, we have already completed with our few topics. Today, we are going to continue with our new topic. But before we start, let's revise very quickly that what this chapter says. It says about the company became the Diwan, how the Robert Clive is accepting the Diwani of Bengal. The East India Company came in India to establish their business, but in August 1765, the East India Company became the Diwani, and now it had the financial administrator of the Bengal. Now they wanted to expand the country's control more and more. They want to ensure that they can buy the products at very cheaper rates and then they sell it at the high rates. So these are the few topics which we are going to cover in this chapter. We have already seen how they started organizing its revenue. The company's main aim was to increase the revenue. How? To buy the cotton and silk at very low prices and then sell it at very high prices. In the 5-year span, the value of the goods bought up by the company doubled, and they had to import gold and import goods They had to purchase goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. Now they were in the financial problem, and by the time what happened? The artisanal production also declined. The artisanal production declined. How? That the artisans left Bengal as because they were forced to sell their products at cheaper rates. Nobody is going to accept that because they were forcefully asked to sold the products at the cheap rates, and also the poor farmers, the peasants, were unable to pay the heavy duties, heavy tax laid on them, and slowly agriculture was collapsing. And by the time the famine hit Bengal, the 1770 Bengal famine, and by the time 1/3 of the population of Bengal was vanished. And so here there was a need to improve the agriculture. In 1793, the company introduced the permanent settlement system. This settlement system we have already seen. This was a system where the Rajas and Talukdars were given the title Zamindars. They were told that they have to collect the revenues. They have to collect the revenues from the peasants, which was permanently fixed by the Britishers, and the permanent settlement would have the regular flow of revenue to the company. This will become revenue to the company, and it will be fixed revenue for the company. And it was also instructed by the Britishers that zamindars will invest with the improvements of the agriculture to generate extra income. But this did not go very well. There was a problem with this permanent settlement. Now what was that problem? That the company officers discovered that the zamindars were not investing. The zamindars were not investing in the improvement of the land because the fixed revenue was very high, and the prices also the prices of the goods were increasing, and slowly and gradually the agriculture was also expanding, and this led to the benefits of the zamindars. Zamindars were in the benefits, but the company remained at the same because revenue was fixed. Here agriculture बढ़ रहा था, बेनिफिट जमींदार को मिल रहा था. They were not investing anything in agriculture, and company had fixed the revenue, and so company was not at the profit, and only zamindars were at the profit. And even the zamindars were not interested in improving any agriculture, because they were gaining, because without investing anything they were gaining and gaining without making any efforts, and so they were not interested in making any improvement. And so Britishers have to think something. Britishers have to change the system of revenue, and so now the new system of revenue was introduced. That was Munro system, Mahalwari system. It was invested by Holt Mackenzie. Here he has introduced a new system in the year 1822. Under his direction, he had appointed a collector who has to go from village to village. Now, what he did, he inspected the land, measured the land, also saw the rights of the different group, estimated that revenue of each plot within the village, can add up revenue from each village, what each village can give as a revenue, what each village means each mahal can give. So what he did, he measured the land, customs and rights of the people were recorded, he estimated that what each village could give as a revenue to the company. And now the revenue was not permanently fixed, it was to be revised periodically. And so here the village headman was made responsible for paying and collecting the revenue for the company. And while the Mahalwari system of collection was introduced in the northern parts, and in the another part, that is southern part, another system was introduced, that is Rohitwari system, that is Munro system. I have already told you about this system, that it was in the southern parts of India, but still everything did not go very well, because in order to increase the income from the land, the peasants were unable to pay the royalties, and so the demand for the crops were increased, and so the cultivation of Britishers was interested in indigo and opium. And so, does color have history, was the question which I have asked you yesterday. And so with this we are going to begin with our today's topic, that is the rich blue color was commonly called indigo. The rich blue color was produced from the plant called indigo. The blue dye, the blue color was used in the Moorish print in 19th century. Britain was manufactured from the indigo plant cultivated in India. India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the 19th century. And so the indigo plantation cultivation was one of the reasons for the poor condition of the farmers and led riots in the various farmers. So why the demand of indigo in India itself? Why was the demand for indigo in India? Now here are the few reasons. Let us have a look at them one by one. The indigo plant grow in the tropic of and Indian. Indigo was used for the cloth manufacturers in Italy, France, Britain to dye the cloths. The small amount of Indian indigo reached the European market and its price was too high. When it reached the when this indigo reached to the European market, its price was very high, and therefore Europeans' cloth market had to depend on the another plant called wood to make blue dyes, and indigo produced a rich blue color, whereas the dye from the wood was pale and dull. So the blue color which was produced from the indigo plant in India was very rich, and what they produced was not very, it was pale and dull. So by the end of 18th century, when they came here, their demand, their interest was in growing the indigo in India, and so buying it very cheaply from India, and then they could sell it in the European market as the price they want. So here the indigo produced a rich blue color, whereas the wood plants was pale and dull. The increased demand of indigo also came because of the heavy industrialization in Britain. Due to heavy industrialization, also the demand for indigo was, as I told you, they got cheap laborers in India, and at a cheap prices indigo was also available. You can see the indigo factory in India. Now the next topic is the Britain turned to India. In Europe, the demand for indigo was very, very high, and so the company in India took further ways to expand the area under indigo. Here they wanted to increase the area of cultivation of indigo. They want to grow more and more indigo in India because the demand in Europe was increasing. Europe में demand बढ़ रही थी, and so they want to increase the plantation in India. And as the indigo trade grew, commercial agent and the officials of the company became investing in the indigo, and more people were interested in trading in the indigo production. And so how was indigo cultivated? So there were two systems in which the indigo was cultivated, that is niche and roit. So within these two systems, first we are going to understand the niche cultivation. The niche cultivation, the planters produce indigo in the land that directly controlled and rented by the zamindars. This was the land which was directly cultivated and rented by the zamindars, and they produced indigo and on that land. What were the problems in the niche cultivation? Let's have a look at them. So there were two systems in which indigo was cultivated, that is niche and roiti. Now in the rich system, it was directly controlled by the zamindars, the land which was rented by the zamindars. But this cultivation problem, there were many problems. Now what were those problems? In the niche cultivation, the planters found difficult to expand the areas. एरिया को एक्सपांड करना बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट था. इंडिगो कुड बी ओनली कल्टिवेटेड ऑन दी फर्टाइल लैंड. जो भी फर्टाइल लैंड होती थी उस पे ही इंडिगो कल्टिवेट हो पाता था, एंड सो इट वॉज वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर देम टू एक्सपांड द लैंड. एंड द प्लांटर्स एक्सटेम्प्टेड टू लीज द लैंड. लीज मतलब भाड़े से लेना. लीज द लैंड अराउंड द इंडिगो फैक्ट्री एंड इविक्ट द पीसेंट फ्रॉम दैट एरिया. और वहाँ पे जो भी रहते थे उन लोगों को हटा दिया जाए, एंड जो इंडिगो फैक्ट्री थी उसके बाजू का एरिया था उसको यू वांटेड टू टेक दैट एरिया अंडर cultivation. The niche cultivation on the large scale required many plows, bullocks, and investing on purchase and maintenance of the plows was very, very big problem. For this, for the niche cultivation, plows and bullocks were needed, and they have to be maintained, and that maintenance was very difficult. And at the same time, the cultivation of rice also took place, and that's why the plow were not available on the rent too. तो रेंट पे भी प्लाव मिलना मुश्किल हो गया था. And availability of labor was also a big problem because at the same time rice was also being cultivated, and so due to this problem the indigo system went to roit system. Now in this roit system, the planters forced roits मतलब farmers, forced farmers to sign the contract. एक agreement sign करना पड़ता था. That was also forcefully, and those who signed the contract got cash advance from the planter. They got the cash in advance, and that was also very low, and that contract was to produce the indigo. The peasants got very low price for the indigo, produced, and the cycle of loan was also never ending. The loan which they were taking, that was also never ending. After the harvesting of indigo, the land could not be sown for the rice which the peasant preferred, as the indigo production reduced the fertility of the soil. The indigo production reduced the fertility of the soil, and so the rice could not be grown over there. And so this was the thing. We are going to continue the next and the last topic, that is the rebellion, the blue rebellion. The farmers, the local people revolt against all these things what Britishers were doing. That is the last and the final topic of this chapter. This we are going to continue in our next video lecture. Till then, I hope you will watch this video and try to understand all the topics which are covered in this video. Till then, bye bye.